Hello, everyone. I am just checking my sound. Can you hear what I am saying? Very good. We are just going to give the last participants a few more minutes to attend, and then we're going to start in around 2 o'clock. Hello, everyone. We are about to get started with this webinar. I am just quickly going to share my screen with you so you can follow the presentation. Welcome, everyone, to this webinar on saying thank you to your remote employees and how to show appreciation for your remote workforce. We are going to spend the next half hour in each other's companies, where I will take you through some very simple and, oh, hold on one second. I can see that Nina says she can't see anything. Anyone else has issues with seeing my screen and the presentation that I've shared with you? Okay, Nina, I think maybe if you can see if you can change okay, good. I think we're all on board. Let's get started with this webinar. The next half hour is gonna be about showing appreciation. I'm gonna take you through some very easy and accessible setups in Eximo and in other places and ways that you can show appreciation for your employees. The agenda for today is this one. We are gonna have a short introduction, look into how and why we should thank our remote employees. Then we're going to look a little bit about finding the right time and place for showing appreciation, a short conclusion, and finally, we're going to have a Q&A session. I am going to talk for about 20 minutes, and then we are going to have plenty of time for all your questions. So if you come up with any questions during the webinar, just post them in the chat and we will get back to them later on. We are going to start straight away with the introduction. My name is Marie Skobjerg, and I am a Senior Customer Success Manager here at Actimo. And I am going to be taking you through all the initiatives that you can implement today. First of all, the reason why we are hosting this webinar is that recognition is important for motivation and engagement of our employees, but we also need to effectively communicate this appreciation to our team members in remote work relationships. These are people that are not sitting around or hanging around in the office all the time, so we need to extend this appreciation in a different way. Generally speaking, the appreciation might seem small, saying thank you, but it's really important for people to feel appreciated at the work. A study that the Boston Consulting Group did a while back showed that they surveyed 200,000 employees from 189 countries, and the most single job element that was important to them was appreciation at work. So it really means something to our employees that we remember to say thank you and show our recognition of the work that they do on a daily basis. So why and how are we going to go about saying thank you? I have a few initiatives that you can implement today and start working on. They are categorized in 3 different categories. First of all, we're going to talk about praising a job well done. So showing your recognition of a joint accomplishment, if this was a team effort or if you're saying thank you for a team effort. It could also be individual employees' efforts, because we all work very hard every day, and it's important to both say thank you to your team and to the individual person for different reasons. We're also going to talk about how to build a community so that we can encourage the employees to support and appraise each other as well, which is also very important for motivation and engagement in a work-life setting. And finally, we are going to talk about going public with appreciation. So how you can work with public appreciation to boost the confidence among your employees by telling them what an awesome team they are. But first up is praising a job well done. So this is really about showing recognition of a joint accomplishment. First up, and sharing this appreciation of your joint team effort is important because it's a booster of the team spirit among all employees, and it's also strengthening the ties between the company and the employees. Now that they are working remotely, you need a little bit of extra effort to have really strengthened the ties to your company and have them feel that relationship to you. But they are also working away from their colleagues, and they might not see them every day face to face. So it's really important that we show this recognition to the collected team. The first initiative that you can work with for appraising the team is live streaming. So if you have an employee app, you could live stream the appraisal on a special occasion. It could be you've been working really hard during the whole Corona crisis. It's been extra stressful for you, and we really recognize your effort during this time. So that is a special single occasion where you can share your recognition. It could also be if you don't want to work with live stream, or you want to just provide people on-demand appraisal, you can share a pre-recorded video in a message. And then for that message, it's really important that you provide or that you facilitate your employees' feedback so that they can also say thank you, or they can promote some of their colleagues or ask questions to what you've been talking about in your video. So always facilitate feedback for your employees either if you live stream or if you share pre-recorded video. It could also be, not right now, but when we are over the corona crisis, that you work with celebrating the wins company-wide. It could be just a short get-together in the beginning or in the end of the day. It could be a lunch that you will all have together. It could be a surprise that you bring to the office someday or that you send out to all your employees. So really ensure that you know and recognize the team efforts, and you see that you have a winning team, and it's really important that they know that you are aware of this. So this is really a few ways for you to share that recognition to your entire team in one single message or in one shared effort. But praising a job well done is not only for a team, it's also important that you reach out to your employees one by one and recognize them for the job that they are doing very well. They want to hear that their individual efforts are recognized and that they're valued. So it's really important that you give the props when someone takes the initiatives or if they exceed expectations in a job that they have been given. And make sure that you are specific in pointing out exactly what they did well. There are differences in just saying, extending a general thank you, but actually letting your employees know what they are doing and what makes just them stand out to the rest of the team. So there are also different ways for you to do that with your remote workforce. Of course, you can always call your employees and make a habit of reaching out to them once in a while just to check in. It doesn't always have to be about work-related tasks. It's also very important to talk about them and how are they doing and managing. But it could also be just checking in and see how are they doing in their daily work life. It could also be during a meeting. Next time you have a team meeting, you could give a shout out to that person that had really done well recently. So promoting them in front of their teammates is really nice, that you show everybody that you pay attention and that you really know that they are doing a very good job. It could also be that you want to facilitate this dialogue or this feedback appraisal on a regular basis. That you can do with setting up one-on-ones. That is a part of what we call lead in Actimo. It's a model that we have in Actimo where you really facilitate this dialogue between manager and employee and make sure that they know how well they are doing, and you provide them with constructive feedback, which is something that is really boosting engagement because they feel recognized, but they also feel like you want to help them become better all the time. So that is really an automated way of facilitating this dialogue. So you don't always have to remember to reach out and set up these meetings or mention people, but also making sure that on a regular basis, this just is also going on. We are going to have another webinar session later this month about one-on-ones, about Pulse and the whole lead module, and I'll make sure to send you an invitation after this webinar. So if you want to know more about that, we're not going to go into details today, but you have plenty of options for going into that with the next webinar that we're going to do. So that was really a little bit about praising jobs well done for your team or for the individual. That leads me to building a community for your remote workforce, because it's not, recognition is not only something that takes place between manager and employee. It's really also something that you just want to promote generally in your company culture, and make it an integral part of how you behave and how you act towards each other. So you need to facilitate this kind of dialogue and appraisal among your employees as well. So connecting with your colleagues as an employee foster better collaboration. So you want to work with people that you feel like you know, that you feel like you are in a community with and share interests, or that you are supportive of your work as well. So when an employee can actively get involved in a community, they will perceive themselves as a part of a larger entity, and they will also know, and it will be clear to them that they are contributing to the collective thought process of the entire group, so the entire company, and that makes us feel valued as individuals, which again makes us engage in our work at a higher level. So for this initiative, it could be really any social media where it could be that you're always working with social media for different purposes, where you could just set up this community where it's all about praising each other and promoting good initiatives, giving kudos, all of this. I'm going to talk about the Actimo social wall, because that is how you facilitate it in your employee app if you want everything in the same place. So first of all, you could work with the company and private groups that you have available in your social wall, in your employee app, and really just either facilitate a company group where people can participate, and you can also share some kudos once in a while. It could also be that you facilitate the private group setup where people on their own initiative can go in and set up conversations with their colleagues to talk about different tasks or knowledge share, or really support each other in the different jobs that they need to do on a daily basis. Also, for the whole encouragement of support and appraisal and really feeling part of the team, promoting that team spirit, you could set up, always make it possible to participate in your team meetings online. This is really a way to encourage idea sharing and give feedback employee to employee. That is something that you facilitate, but really making sure that even though they work remotely and that they are not working from an office, you will still have these get-togethers, have these check-ins that you facilitate, and where you can really be creative together and get to know each other's strong sides and forces. So that is another way of doing that. This online meeting could be something that you facilitate outside of your employee app, but this is still something that you can promote via the employee app. So that could be something to talk about in a social wall setting. It could also be an invitation that you send out with a message, so that you can make sure that accessing your online meetings is very easy for your employees, and they don't have to spend a lot of time logging in. It will just be there ready for them. So that is really the sort of community colleague to colleague approach to facilitating this whole appraisal that is very engaging for people in their job. Then there is a third way of showing your appreciation, which is going public. So share on social what an awesome team you have. This could be something for both managers. It could be for CEOs out there. It could also be employees sharing something about the latest initiative that has been taken in the company. But it's really facilitating a strong team spirit if you show your appreciation of your employees outside of the company walls, because that is really showing the whole world that you appreciate who's working for you in your company. And in order to make it seen and to really make it live outside of your 4 company walls, you can share videos, you can share pictures on your company's social media of the latest celebrations that you had. It could be new hires that you want to promote. It could be anniversaries, all of these special events that happens on a occasional basis, but is always going on in your company. Make sure that you take the time to really sit down and come up with ideas for sharing these outside of the company, and have all your people like everything that you post, have them share it, because it's all a part of boosting the team spirit. just keep in mind that if you want to share people on public social media, it's really important that you get their permission, especially if you are highlighting a single person, because for them it might not be for them to be shared like that in the spotlight. So get the permission and then make sure that you show the world what great people you have in your team. So these were really different ways of going about the whole appraisal and facilitating that in your company, also making it both occasional and regular, but it's all really part of shaping the culture that you have in your company. So where to start and how to begin with this and how to go about it. If you were to start somewhere from one of the initiatives that we've been through today, where should you start? And really to figure out what would be the right fit for your employees. It's really important that you look into your employee persona. It could also be that you take a look at organizational rhythms in order to plan or to know when is appreciation due. And it could also be looking into employee journeys, but let's take them one by one. First of all, you know your people, and if you map out just a little bit who they are, what characterizes them, I'm sure that you will find some similarities, even though we're all different people. You have employees that share some similarities. So you will know if they would be crazy about an initiative where you set up the community. And this is really what gets them going. It could also be that you are working with employees that really appreciate the whole idea about one-on-ones and facilitating that dialogue between manager and employee. So that is really figuring out where to start and where should you initiate this whole appraisal. Organizational rhythms are important because we all experience peak seasons in our work. And after a peak season, it's really nice to be recognized for the hard work that we put into our jobs just at that time. So if you can map out your organizational rhythms, you will also be able to plan ahead and know when is appraisal due and when would you anticipate that your people would need an extra caring message in their employee apps. Finally, we have the employee journey, which is really about, again, the individual. But for each team that you have in your organization, they all have similar employee journeys. And through an employee journey, there will always be times where it's really important to let people know that you appreciate, you have now accomplished so much in your career in our company, and we recognize your accomplishment. So it could be somewhere around the time that they're done onboarding and that they're really up to speed in your company. Maybe you should say, thank you for being so quick up and running. It could also be something around, we all experience highs and lows in our learning curves throughout our employee journeys. So make sure that if there's really been a tough time, it could also be performance improvement. It could be career development. When is your employee ready to take the next step? Make sure that you recognize that you see that they are developing and that you want them to continue and develop further. So these are really three different approaches, but it's also really important that they go together so that you know something about the employee personas that you have in your company together with the organizational rhythm so that you know which initiatives to start at which times. Great. So that was a little bit about what initiatives and why you would take these initiatives, and also something about timing and how to really implement it into your company. And that brings us to our conclusion. I have the four very short and brief points for concluding this webinar and the whole appraisal of employees. And first up is that keep in mind that recognition in our jobs is really important for engagement and motivation. This is what really keeps us going and keeps us being productive as employees, that we are being recognized for our accomplishments. Then the second point that is worth noting is that you can extend a thank you occasionally, and you can do it on a regular basis. And it doesn't have to be one or the other. It could be that you mix it up a little bit. But if you want to ensure that it is taking place, that you do implement this into your company culture, it's really good with starting some initiatives on a regular basis so that you can plan it and you really know when things need to go out, because otherwise we tend to get caught up in operations, and then it's really hard to remember to get it done. Then appraisals can be executed in different settings. It could be between the manager and employees, as we've been talking about. It could be employee to employee, and it could also be publicly. And that's where the whole timing and format comes into play. So if you take the time, you probably already know your employees, but maybe map out a little bit about their personas, then you will know where to get started and what initiatives would really get them going and what they would appreciate. And then that's the way you go. And if you just want to get started, I think the best way to get started is really to think about what would you appreciate, because if you would appreciate acknowledgement in a certain way, I'm pretty sure that your employees would as well. So it's just to get started. Great. And I think that my 20 minutes are up now. So let's get started on the Q&A. I've been hearing a few posts during my very long talk. So let's get started. I can see that Katrina is asking, what do you mean by showing the world? Is it just show all in the company? So basically, if you go public, if you work with the whole public appraisal of your employees, it would mean that you would show on if you have a company's Facebook, or if you have a LinkedIn or a website for your company, it's really showing your appreciation of your employees in that setting. So it is really showing the outside world and extending this appraisal beyond your company walls. And that is why it's also really important that if you want to promote single persons, or if you want to share pictures, videos of single people, it's always really nice to ask them what they're comfortable with, or if they would be comfortable with you sharing it. But it's really cool to show everybody that you appreciate them. Samir, you are asking, are you using different slides? I can only see the cover placeholder slides. Hopefully you were able to see that I was going through a slide deck. If not, don't worry, you will get a recording of the webinar after this session, so that you will be able to see everything that I went through while I was talking. And I'm really sorry if you couldn't see it during the webinar as well. Okay, good. You will receive that, Samia. And along with the recording, or a little bit later today, I will also share an email with further inspiration for how to work with the one-on-ones, how to work with live streaming. So really a lot of inspiration for you to really get you started on this. Aniko, I can see that you were asking, we plan from tomorrow to start a social wall campaign for home office workers. We created some communities, a sports group. They have their own challenges. They run alone, but together. The other group is missing a workplace restaurant. They can share cooking tips with each other. That is really cool, Aniko, to really keep the engagement going and keep the spirit high during the whole lockdown of your employees. And this is really something that is not only right now where we are forced to work remotely. It could be something that you continue long afterwards, because a part of the whole appraisal and feeling acknowledged at work is actually also finding that you share interests outside of work with your colleagues. So this is a great initiative that you should just keep going after the lockdown, when we're all back again. Aniko, you're also asking, when will the feature of moderating the social wall become available? Are you thinking about the ability to delete posts from social wall? Yeah, okay, so that is actually available right now. So A new feature in the social wall is that from the dashboard, admins can go and delete posts from the different channels that you have set up. So if you cannot find it, and you could reach out to our support, and they will help you figure out how it works. Katrine is asking, do you have examples on appreciations? Well, I have the example from the joint effort appreciation that I have in my slide deck, which is actually, let me just quickly go back, which is actually a message that we received with a thank you from our CEO Eske the other day. So that is one way that we work with it in Aximo. So sometimes if somebody has or the team has performed really well, or we've been in a special situation like the one we're in right now, we get this message to just keep going and keep the spirits high. We also work with the social wall setting in Aximo for the whole appraisal, and then we work with one-on-ones. So that would be examples that we work with. Duncan, you are asking, you could start a group 30-day challenge to engage the team to look after their physical, mental, and emotional well-being during this difficult time. That is a really good idea. Again, this would be something that you could facilitate, for instance, in the social wall, and then really encourage people to share video or share tips on recipes, like Aniko mentioned. So really get the ideas and the creativity among your employees out to the rest of the company. So that's a good idea. So I guess, Duncan, that is something that you are doing to both keep the spirits high among your employees, and then also to facilitate this supportive environment in your cultural setting in your company. And Nico's asking, can you show us where we can set up the live stream? Well, basically, the live stream is something that you set up in your employee app, and I will share with you an email with a lot of tips and tricks, because we previously had another webinar that was just about town halls, as we call it in Aximo, but it's really, you can use live streaming for team meetings, for the whole appraisal, as we've been talking about today. So I will make sure to share that with you, so that you know how to set it up and how to run them, and so you have everything. Good. That was a lot of great questions. Any final questions for today? Then now is the time to post them. Let me quickly see if I have something in this. Duncan, you shared a link. Gunnar, you're asking, can we do this without the app? So basically, all the initiatives that we went through today, you can do it within an employee setting, and you can also do it outside of an employee setting. You can, if you don't have an app, you could send out an email with appraisal and still work with the whole video setup. You could also go public with that appreciation and then post it on your website, or if you have a social community for your employees somewhere else than in Aximo, that is, you can definitely use the same initiatives there as well. So that is just to get started. If you don't have an employee app but still want to use Aximo to send out the appraisals, you can always go with a one-off setup. So it doesn't really have to be something that you're posting within your employee app. It should just as easily be a message that you compose within the platform, and then you share it with your employees via an SMS or via an email. Great. Anything else before we round off? It doesn't seem like you have any other questions. Then I just want to say thank you very much for participating today. I hope that you find found the contents of the webinar useful and that you can really go and implement it yourself for your own employees right now. Make sure that if you have any doubts or if there is something mentioned today that you would like to hear more about and you don't think I provide you with the right information in the email that will come later today, reach out to our support and they will be able to help you as well. So just let us know if you have any questions. But thank you very much for participating and taking the time to join this webinar, and make sure that you join the other webinars that we have coming up this week. I will make sure to share the registration links with you as well. Good. So thank you and have a good day, everybody.